Oscar De La Hoya says that Canelo will fight Golovkin again in 2020 next year. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, Canelo's next fight just got announced. He's fighting Sergey Kovalev on November 2nd. And Canelo Kovalev, he's moving up to 175. I believe there's probably a rehydration clause, but they haven't announced it. Canelo says, it's official. I was born ready. I'm happy to announce I'll be moving up 2 weight categories to face one of the most powerful adversaries in this division. November 2nd, MGM Grand Garden Arena, Las Vegas will be one of the biggest challenges in my career. Let's make history together and become a 4-time world champion. So that's that. De La Hoya says, first of all, I did videos about it. Check those. Him and Ryan Garcia and previously Canelo, there's some type of spats that were going on. And this Los Angeles Times article was an interview, the link in the description. And it's Oscar De La Hoya's response to things that Canelo tweeted out about his dismay, about, how he's been handling, and also Ryan Garcia. So check those videos out so you can check out that drama with that. But Oscar De La Hoya did say that Canelo, everything's good now. And a lot of people speculated that things weren't, because Canelo, he tweeted this. He said, I'm very upset and ashamed with my fans to be unfairly stripped of my belt by the IBF, but especially when I did not have knowledge of the agreement that Golden Boy Promotions matchmaker had agreed and signed. De La Hoya shook his head when asked about the tweet and said it was a result of bad information that Alvarez received from people outside of Golden Boy. Quote, with social media, you tend to act in a certain way and you can't retract it, obviously. There's a lot of voices in his ear. Being Canelo's promoter, I have a huge target on my back. I know that. People were trying to sabotage our dealings and our relationship, but there were no surprises. We're still Golden Boy, and at the end of the day, we get what we want. There's been talks in boxing circles for months whether the relationship between Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo Alvarez is fractured. Alvarez's tweet was the first public sign of discord. De La Hoya, however, said that the two spoke last week and are on the same page after finalizing his next fight, November 2nd, Kovalev. The fight was going to be shown on DAZN, and this is what De La Hoya said. I'm glad we got the fight done, and I'm glad we have a long-lasting relationship that we will fulfill. We're under contract for his next 10 fights, so I'm glad we got him what he wanted. We had to put up with a lot of BS from other promoters who were making it impossible to make a fight. That's what happens when you're the biggest athlete in the sport and making the most money. You have a target on your back as a promoter and you get backlash. Everyone wants to sabotage our relationship, but everything is fine. I think he's referring to Al Heyman, because Sergey Derevyanchenko is an Al Heyman fighter, and he's saying that, they were trying to sabotage him. But realistically, De La Hoya, it sounds like he's having a pity party for himself. There's no one to sabotage, because you were supposed to fight Sergey Kovalev and pay Anthony Yard step-aside money. But Yard was Kovalev's mandatory. Kovalev was down to fight Canelo, but you wouldn't give him the amount of money he wanted. And Main Events and Top Rank, they put their foot down and said, yo, Danny Jacobs, he got this amount of money. You're going to come up to my weight where I'm a champion and not pay up, right? And not give me even what Jacobs got? Bullshit. And then time elapsed, and then you didn't have enough time, and he and his team had to pull the trigger on an Anthony Yard fight. So to me, that shot seems like it was at Al Heyman, but the problem is Golden Boy. Canelo wants to fight on the Mexican dates every year. Same time, Cinco de Mayo weekend and September. Last May, he couldn't fight because he failed a drug test. So he fought in September and December against Rocky Fielding and against Golovkin in the rematch. Now he fought Jacobs in May, Cinco de Mayo weekend, and he was supposed to fight for Mexican Independence Day weekend. And he gave up the date, and it was bullshit. And we ended up seeing Tyson Fury versus Otto Violin for a Mayan belt, because the actual guy of Mexican heritage that normally, stuck claim, put his flag in the sand and say, yo, this is my date. I want to fight. Since Floyd Mayweather's retired, I'm of Mexican descent. Let me fight on the date. You couldn't get the fight. So it really sounds like a pity pat, like, oh, you're the biggest star, you got a target on your back, and everyone wants to sabotage. I think DAZN is part of the problem here too. I think DAZN has kind of gallivanted around boxing, saying pay-per-view's dead, and we're the organization with the most money and blah blah blah. We got $1 billion, and people like Eddie Hearn, they add to this. Eddie Hearn does interviews publicly, likes to be in the front of the camera. And he's like, we got the most money, we got the biggest budget. So when Derevyanchenko and Kovalev, they hear and see these things, hear about Canelo getting $365 million, best believe they like, I bring something to the table too. He could be the A side, but you gonna pay me too. So I think that's what it is. I don't think it's a bunch of sabotage. I think Derevyanchenko, Canelo, for all intents and purposes, to be honest, I think Derevyanchenko, for Al Heyman, if you look at his stable, Derevyanchenko's pretty expendable, and I'm not trying to say a person like is expendable, but it's not like it's his cash cow. If Derevyanchenko, he already lost to Jacobs a couple years ago, so I don't think Al Heyman would resist from making Derevyanchenko Canelo, because they're putting him in with probably a more dangerous style for him. Golovkin has true knockout power at the middleweight division, and that fight's on DAZN, and he's getting paid right around the same thing. So I don't really think anyone was sabotaging Golden Boy or didn't want Derevyanchenko to not get an opportunity. I think it was just poor planning and execution. Anyway, De La Hoya continues by saying, you will absolutely see Canelo versus Triple G fight next year. It could be in May or September, but that fight will happen. But Canelo's fight against Kovalev is huge, and I think it's bigger. It's a bigger fight than Triple G. It's a mega fight. Kovalev has a real shot to knock him out and beat him, and people know that. And then it gets weird in this interview. He started talking about Ryan Garcia and saying Virgil Ortiz is better. And then he started promoting his tequila. I guess he has some kind of, he said, I drink responsibly. I promote products I believe in. You're supposed to be talking about your fighters, and you're doing a shameless plug. You just diss Ryan Garcia, and then you do a shameless plug for some alcohol you're pushing that nobody really drinks. This ain't no Ciroc, but whatever. Back to Canelo, Triple G. Listen, I don't think it's as big of a fight as DAZN seems to think it is. I think people want fresh matches. Triple G versus Derevyanchenko. That's cool. It's not the main fight. People want to see Charlo or Boo Boo Andrade versus either of the guys you see on the screen. But at least it's something fresh. We've already watched 24 rounds of it. They're thinking Canelo Triple G is just the hottest thing since sliced bread. I just don't like the manipulating the board, like skipping around the talent pool at 160, 168, Canelo going to 75 to fight, like most people are saying, the most vulnerable or the weakest champion. John David Jackson, his old trainer, Dimitri Bivol. New media runs the game. I told you. It's not just me saying this. I could be the first one saying it on a lot of these issues. I'll be on the front line telling you what it is. Now you see people comfortable saying it. John David Jackson said Kovalev's body is weak and Canelo's going to be the favorite. You can't beat him on the score. He's saying the same thing. Dimitri Bivol's people. We know why Kovalev was selected as opposed to Beterbiev, Vodstik, or Dimitri Bivol, or David Benavidez, or Charlo, or Demetrius Andrade. So, I feel like Canelo his star power is waning. It really is, because you're supposed to be the man in boxing. He makes a lot of money, but he's just the way he's been moved, and the BS and the arguing over like, oh, I'm mad at Golden. People just get tired of all that. And there's a lot of rising stars and good fights, like Vodstik versus Beterbiev. That's a great fight. It's a sleeper fight. We need to, in boxing, focus on a lot of the great fights like this. That's a great fight. Regis Prograis, Josh Taylor. That's a great fight. Spence versus Porter. That's a great fight. Benavidez trying to get his old belt back from Anthony Durrell. These are great fights. Wilder, Luis Ortiz too. These are great fights. Joshua Ruiz. These are awesome fights. I think people just kind of get sick of the games. Again, Canelo Triple G. I literally, as a true boxing fan, I really like Canelo. I like watching him fight. But I'd much rather see him fight Andrade, Charlo, Benavidez, Caleb Smith, something new. The Triple G fight has lost luster. So I'm at the point now that I wouldn't even be upset if we don't get Canelo Triple G3. Like if one of them loses, you know, I don't understand why DAZN has this tunnel vision thinking that Canelo Triple G is the it ticket. And they to me, if you really wanted Canelo Triple G3, DAZN made a huge, gross, and grave mistake. What they should have did is made Triple G, instead of fighting Steve Rolls, fight Andrade. If he got past him, the winner of that fight the winner of Danny Jacobs versus Canelo. Canelo beat Jacobs, so he was the winner. And then whoever won out of Triple G Andrade fight each other. Boom, boom, boom. We wouldn't have to see Canelo versus Kovalev. Your September fight or your October, November fight, whenever, would have been Canelo Jacobs winner versus Triple G winner and Boo Boo Andrade. That's the best possible scenario, because it would have been for undisputed at middleweight. And you wouldn't have to become a franchise champion. Now Charlo got one of the belts. You wouldn't have to get stripped from the Derevyanchenko situation. I predicted all of this. I projected all this on my channel. The real ones know what I said. And then now it's just they're scrambling. And Canelo's not trying to fight the Charlos and the Andrades. And his team called out and said they would fight Charlo, or we're in negotiation with Andrade, or we want Caleb Smith. But I seen zero effort really and truly made to see Canelo face them. And instead you pick a 36, 37-year-old war-torn Kovalev because he has a belt, thinking that's it. And then on top of that, DAZN has him competing with the already announced major UFC main event, Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal. I'm a boxing guy through in and throughout, and I'm more looking forward to Nick Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal. You guys can also use my link if you'd like to purchase the Jorge Masvidal Nate Diaz pay-per-view to support. It supports my channel, and I think it's going to be it's a more intriguing fight. Kovalev has a puncher's chance to me, you know, if he just get it all together. But stylistically, he has more of a kind of a robotic Eastern European Russian type of style. Good jab, but he can't fight on the inside. Phone booth type of fight, you know, the combination punching, the hand speed. This is why he was selected, because Canelo, the stuff he could try versus Kovalev, you don't know, is he going to try against a more athletic Vodstik? Vodstik, I've seen him live a couple times. He can move. I've been right next to him, you know, at media days and stuff. He's a good height. He's lean, but in shape. Amateur pedigree, you know. That's who Canelo, if he really wants to be four-time champion, fight the winner of Beterbiev versus Vodstik, not Kovalev, who has a quick turnaround, just went through a war with Anthony Yard, and now he got to jump right back in camp. Because to me, it looks like Kovalev is cashing out, you know, knowing there's a chance that, you know, you're not going to win on the scorecards. You got to knock this man out most likely, or dominate, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, it's just, I don't like when the odds are stacked against one fighter unless that's naturally what it is. Like if your skill set's up here and their skill set's down here, and that's the match, you know, two ranked guys, then so be it. But when people try to, it's like gaming the system, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm gonna put these weight stipulations and rehydration clause, catch you 2 weeks notice, catch you when you just came off of a war and you have no time to rest. All this, you know, miss me with that. Let me know what you guys think. We working. If you're new, consider subscribing. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you want to see Canelo Triple G3, how bad. Drop that in the comment section. We working. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.